to that end, like that's the reason I stay at this job. Like the it's hard. It's going to be hard. It's the hardest right now it's ever been. But like that feeling, it helps soften the blow of some of the stressful days or the failures that we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you were talking about it, and I got goosebumps in the middle of it because it's tangible. It is real in a way that I've never had at a job myself. Like there's uh, when you talk about the layoffs and the good people that we lost, and part of that being the reason that you're staying, I relate so hard because, and I think we're a lot the same this way. A big part of me really truly believes that if we stick around and we're able to work hard enough and do enough, that we can get our family back. You know what I mean? And maybe that's
Yeah.
naive, and it probably is because, we are all human and it's a business and all of those things. But that's the kind of bond that putting on an event at the scale at which we put on events with such a small team, that's an example of what this does to us. And I don't know how else to illustrate it but to really get a little bit raw about it and talk about it in that regard. What for you is the best thing about what it is that we do? What do you like the most?
Um, we talked a lot about the people. Like, I mean, you and I are incredibly close, and we had never met each other before this job. Like, I'll forever be grateful to the people that this job has brought into my life, yourself included. That could happen anywhere. That's just, I genuinely think that this company attracts good people, like people with good hearts, because that's just kind of the company that it is, and the culture that our superiors have sought to build. But you can find good people at any company, and you could find friends, no matter where you land. The thing that I like the most about this company is that feeling of, I made this thing happen and it brought someone else joy. It's like a real like Santa Claus-y feeling in a shitty cliched kind of way. So it's that. And then the other component of it is what I was saying earlier about how I always knew that I was destined to be a behind the scenes person, and allowing me to stay close to the industry that I love and that has meant so much to me my whole life, and be a part of it in some small way, and make, you know, feel a part of the comics industry and the film industry, and getting to meet celebrities that I admire, and creative types that I admire, and getting to do things like, the wrestling show that you and I put together. But to distill it down, like we talked a lot about our show in 2018, and I had a really bad, for those of you who don't know, like when you have a show and you're having a really bad time, and things are not going as it's planned and you're stressed out, you kind of reach, it is a real hit. Like there is a noticeable hump, and that hump comes around like Saturday late afternoon, or like Saturday evening. Like once you get to Sunday, like it's easy, it's smooth sailing. You're off and running, and like anything that is gonna go wrong probably has gone wrong already. So we did an after party for that After Dark thing I was mentioning for the first time in 2018, and I was just we were using a space in the convention center that had never been used for this before. We were building something completely new, and I was like, nobody's gonna fucking show up for this. This is a dumb idea. We put all this work into this, and not a single person is gonna show up for this. What the hell? And sure enough, like, a lot of people showed up, and we had this raucous after party. And I just remember watching It was a really kind of creepy Great Gatsby moment, because I was like on a balcony overlooking the party, watching it happen, not partaking, but just filled with this immense sense of pride, that like we did that, like we made that happen. And I can't even, I guess this is what people feel like when they write a book and the book comes out, or when, you know, your first feature length movie comes out. But we don't deal in feature length movies and books. We deal in cosplay after parties and vendor booths, you know. That is the canvas upon which we paint our masterpiece.
Such artists are we. There's something to that, because, you know, again, we're a year out from what was because leap years are weird, what was both the second day and the final day of C2E2 last year. We're a year away from it.
I do you fuck with Time Hop at all?
Yes,
like the
of
app,
course.
like because of the leap day, my photos from February 29th did not show up at all.
Mine either.
Which I'm grateful for, because I think it would have broken me.
Correct. And I mean, you talk about your Great Gatsby moment in 2018. In 2020, you and I had ours exactly a year ago, as a matter of fact, and you alluded to it. But it's again another thing that ReedPop allows for us to spread our wings a bit as employees, and figure out different ways to bring joy to the people that we essentially work for, the folks who come to our shows. On another episode of Tradecraft, I interview Lance Fensterman, who is the president of ReedPop, and we talked at length about management's affinity for saying yes to its employees when they have ideas or things that they want to do, if they have the data and the proper sort of preparation to back up what it is they want to do. And Chris and I got a wild hair one day, and we decided we wanted to put on a wrestling show at C2E2. We're both wrestling fans, and we saw an opportunity, and we did a lot of research, and we dug, and we did a lot of back end work building relationships with the right people. And last year on February 29th, we sold the thing out. 10,000 people showed up, and we put on a wrestling event. And yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That must be what people feel like when they release a book or some kind of magnum opus, right? Like there's an unveiling of sorts. And Lance and I actually talk about this at length, and he actually brings up an image that comes up that came up for me today, because I think we were posting for 2 days straight about this incredibly high kind of high we were on. But Lance took a picture of the two of us in front of we were in the front of the box that we were all in watching the show together, and we are in silhouette and the rest of the arena is in front of us. And it's a very you talk about bawling your eyes out. I cried a little this morning looking at it, because that was probably the best day of my professional life, bar none. And so,
same.
The
unequivocally same.
My point here is, if you remember right, Thursday of C2E2 in 2018 was the worst day of my life, full stop. And so, any role that allows you to have both of those things in the same kind of scope probably has something going for it.
And in the same location, no less.
Right. Really very interesting. This is a good segue to start talking about COVID. And the live events industry, because it's taken a lot from a lot of people, and I won't pretend to be directly affected in the way over 500,000 people in the United States are directly affected by this. But the live events industry is absolutely in shambles in the United States, and we are not immune to that. Luckily, it appears that we're turning the corner on things, and vaccinations are going out, and herd immunity may or may not be right around the corner. We're excited about the possibilities of that, but I want to talk about our pivot. And every time I hear the word, it makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit because we've said it so much over the last year. It's weird to say that too, that it's been a full year.
Put a nickel in the pivot jar, Gabriel.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. How have you, from a content perspective, sales is easy, right? We sell stuff digitally now. That's easy. From a content perspective, how have you changed the way that you work to serve the new normal?
Well, it's a little disingenuous to say because we're still very much figuring it out. We, meaning the convention industry, we do things a very particular way, and that's the wrong way to say it, because at the company that we work at, we're very much like, well, do it however you want to do it, just get it done, kind of a thing. Like, we're very much a culture of I'm not going to tell you B and C. I'm just going to say you're starting at A and I need you to get to D, and I don't care how you do it. You just got to get there. Digital is different, man. Like, it's tough because we produced content in a specific way on site. We had access to talent in a certain way because money was coming through the door, right? Like, people were buying tickets, who were then buying autographs and buying merchandise, and that afforded us the ability to get to different people to do different things, and we had a very clear path through this. Digital doesn't work that way. You gotta create content differently, and you gotta publish that content differently. And when you make a panel at a convention, you're like, okay, this panel on Spider-Man is going from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it's in this size room, and I know justifiably that this many people can fit in this room, and that's my maximum, and that's the metric by which I'm judging success here. And you also know that you've got 20 to 30,000 people in the building, so this is just something to give them to do. And you're like, oh, okay, well, like, of these 30,000 people, 200 to 300 of them have got to be Spider-Man fans and want to come sit through this panel. When you're making content for digital, you are literally shouting into the void. You are throwing a glass of water into the ocean of content. Like, yes, we can make that Spider-Man panel for you. We could do that exact same thing with those exact same creators that we would have done on site. But, like, are you really going to sit down at your computer and watch that? Are you, or are you going to sit in front of your computer and watch Netflix or play a video game or read a book or, hang out with your kids or do literally anything else? It's not to say that, like, conventions is shooting fish in a barrel. Like, we need to do we need to create content that people want to see, and we need to listen to our fans and stuff. And we're still doing that. We're still listening to those fans and trying to give them what they want. It's just that our ability to give them what they want is diminished. It's different. And so what we're trying to do is, rather than give you the panel that you would watch at a show where Spider-Man creators sit on a panel and talk about Spider-Man, we're trying to give you the opportunity to talk to those creators. And, the best part of convention panels is the Q&A, like, figuring out that connection, that spark that people go to a convention for, that community. And it's not easy. It's really difficult. Every fandom on the planet has places on the internet already where those fans congregate. You can't reverse